But what happens if somebody calls you or somebody texts you or somebody sends an email? Is your email up in front of you while you're doing it?
No.
I'm sorry, what? Is your cell phone around you while you're doing it?
Cell phone's there, but it's on silent.
Oh, I'm sorry, what? Where do you guys keep your cell phone at all times? I'm old enough to remember stopping at payphones. Payphone was this way, me to you, yes? Now do you know what it is? Everything is where? You're like, oh, I'm so busy. I'm like, no, you're not.
Instagram.
You're solving other people's problems that aren't yours. So it's distractions. So his email's not open and his cell phone is away from him. Do you know how you guys run your business mostly? Whack-a-mole. You're like, oh, I'm gonna make calls. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Today's my day. New year, new me. Hashtag thriving, blessed. Right? Then what ends up happening, you get one email about your deal, singular. Yeah? Like, oh, well, I gotta pay attention to that. So you completely stop doing what you're doing and then you're not prospecting anymore. Yeah? So he set up a system in which he's insulated from that. Cell phone's away from me, email is closed, right? The way that I would think about this time, this is like I'm going to a bank. People would tell me, like, I never see you out at night. I'm like, I never see you at the bank, bro. This is what this is. I'm in the rejection business. The more I get rejected, the more money I make. I remember standing in front of a room like this. I'm like, I made 7,200 contacts this year. I got 142 people to say yes. 142 times over 10,000 bucks is a lot of money. It's over $1 million, yeah? So creating an environment that makes it easy for you to stay on task, time on task.
Yeah, you just have open on your screen your follow boss or whatever CRM you're using, your scripts right next to you if you need to follow those, and any property data website or anything that you can reference if you're having a conversation with someone.
Love that.
That's it.
So when someone says to you, I just spoke to an investor, he's going to pay me cash.
Yeah, here's what I'll say, and I want all the investors to perk up and listen to what I'll say to them. I'll be like, yeah, it's not uncommon that investors reach out. And for some people, that makes sense to them. They're more interested in like speed and, perhaps efficiency where they don't have to deal with anything on the inside. What I'm also aware of, though, is that the investor's intention is to make a profit themselves. And it's not uncommon where you end up selling for drastically less than what you can get on the open market. So we've had instances where we can help families get $30,000, $50,000 more than just that cash offer. Now, what investors will tell you is that that's going to take a long time to do and have a lot of friction. My experience is that's not true. We've sold properties in 3 days, 7 days. So if you could still sell the property quickly and make an extra $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 for you and your family, is that something that you would be opposed to? You'd be like, no, I wouldn't be opposed to that, right? Just by you saying that demonstration, we should get together and discuss the options, man, make a suggestion. Then I go into a closing sequence. And at the end of the closing sequence, so it sounds like you've decided that you're definitely going to sell. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of how, whether to sell with a cash offer or on the open market. And it also sounds like the more information you can gather right now, the better equipped you'll be. So you can make the decision that you feel is best for you and your family. Notice, is this about me? So what I like to do is this. I have a lot of clients in the same stage in the process. And what we do initially is we schedule a very simple 10, maybe 15 minute, no obligation whatsoever, phone or Zoom appointment. Why do I say 10 or 15 minutes? Because none of us have time. Yeah. Those 10 or 15 minutes conversations turn into 45 minutes. An hour.
45.
Yeah.
Easy.
So, and what I'll show you are those two things. Number one, if, and I'm clear that that is an if you did decide to explore putting it on the open market, what would be top dollar? What would be the most amount we could expect to receive? And net bottom line, what the proceeds would be to you and your family when it shakes out. The second thing I could show you is our system and process that we utilize to make that happen very quickly and efficiently, and take as much off of your shoulders, put onto ours, and make it smooth and easy with some of these ancillary services. And then at least this way, whether you decide to go with the cash offer or you decide to put it on the open market, you'll have all the information you need so you can make the decision for you and your family that you feel is best. How many yous? 4 or 5, yeah? What do you guys say? I. Yes? Because where does that tell us our frame of mind is on? Me. Yeah? So when I say that to you, you're like, yeah, that's cool, right? So that's how I would handle it.
I want to ensure that, they're comfortable and confident in me and my services. So in order to do so, that's when we go over the listing agreement, and that needs to take place prior to me putting a lot of energy, effort, and time, or even pushing it off to a coordinator to do that work for them. Because in the end, what is it going to do if I provide all these services and they go list with this guy over here?
Yeah, and a lot of people try to be like the nice guy and do all the services, hoping that they'll end up going with you, only to have your heart broken when they do something else. Yes? Yes. She's like, yeah, that's happened to me. So instead, the language, how you can phrase this, let's say we present to you and you're like, yeah, all that makes sense. So when can we get started on preparing it? Great. Well, so just so I'm clear, I'm more than happy to discuss kind of procedurally next steps. Just so I'm clear, it sounds like, based on our conversation today and what I'm hearing from you, that you've decided that you would like for me and my team to help you with the sale. Is that correct? What do most of you guys do? You assume. And you end up running around doing all this work and not getting paid. Yes? So I'm going to be very direct. The thing with sales that makes it like kind of uncomfortable or squishy is a lack of clarity. Wouldn't you just like somebody to tell you, hey, I'm just being nice to you. I'm not interested in listening with you. Wouldn't that be great? You know what a magical way to find that out is? Ask them. That's it. So I'm asking you directly, right? So have you already decided you'd like me to help you with the sale? You're like, yeah, great. So then what we do in these situations procedurally is next step is my staff will send you the appropriate documentation, the listing paperwork. We're going to put in the additional terms and conditions that you give us permission to withhold it from the multiple listing service while it's being prepared for sale. You'll authorize it. And what that will allow me to do, listen to that language. What that will allow me to do is to get the vendors organized to begin the process of preparing the property for sale. What we can also begin to do is pre-market the property, let people know it's getting ready to come on the market for sale. So that way, when it is ready, we have buyers lined up, we can open up the floodgates and hopefully get lots of showings and offers. Does that make sense to you? Would you like to take advantage of that? If my staff gets you the paperwork today, when can we expect to receive it back? Most of you guys don't ask that. And then you know what ends up happening? You feel like a creep because you got to call them like 5, 6, 7 times a day. Anybody besides me find that disgusting? Doesn't it feel gross? Because they're like, yo, I want to work with you. And then you leave it wide open. And then you feel like a stage 5 clinger, like that person that wants to date you and keeps texting you like a million times. You're like, bro, right? That's what ends up happening. But it's because of a lack of clarity. If I send this to you today, when can we expect to receive it back? Why is that so powerful? Tell me. Timeline.
Locks them in.
And if they tell me in 2 days, if they don't send it in 2 days, what does that give me permission to do? Follow up. And people don't like to go against what they've said. If you tell me you're going to do something in 2 days, you're probably going to do it. Does that make sense? So it's not uncommon when I was heavily in production, I would have 10 listing agreements signed waiting to come on the market. I also created relationships with investors where we could plug them into these types of opportunities. And what they would do is they would pay us a bonus on the buy side, a bonus on the buy side commission. Yeah, they pay like $5,000, $10,000. They're happy to do it. So not only would you get whatever percentage you agreed on with the seller, but you'd also get that buy side. So you could take a little, $250,000, $300,000 house, and ends up being like a $25,000 commission. Just as cool as selling those high price homes, yeah.
Also, what he brought up about the pre-marketing is huge, and that's how you can also get those necessary documents authorized prior to the home going on the market.
That took you to another level.
Yeah, because a lot of times people are hesitant. Some of the objections you may get is that, well, the attorney says we can't sell it yet, or maybe there's it's not a homesteaded property, it was an investment property, so that they have to wait for a little longer. There's no need for you to say, oh, okay, I'll call you back in 2 months. No, because there's someone that's going to call, like myself or Aaron, who's going to say, well, look, there's other strategies that we can do while this time is progressing.
So Did you hear what he just said, which is so good? So you'll call and they'll be like, yeah, call me back in a couple months. And what will you say? Okay. Yeah. And then you know what you tell your friends? Oh, I got this great lead. Oh, yeah. They're going to list with me. Yeah. I'm going to make like $15,000. Yep. It's mine. And then me and Heath call. We do the pre-listing thing. We get the listing agreement signed. You call back in 2 months. And what do they tell you? I already signed an agreement. And you're like,
sold it.
You're like, but I thought we were besties. Yes?
It depends. For me, if they say their name, like, hi, this is Aaron, leave a message, then I know I had the right number. Then I'll leave a message similar to my opening. And I do get calls back through voicemail. If no one answers, I'll shoot a quick text. Because a lot of times I know nowadays, a lot of people don't answer numbers they don't know on their phone.
How many of you guys get mad when somebody calls you versus text? Yeah, you would prefer what? Text. So we found when we looked at those metrics, texting 17% response rate, telephone 2%. It's much higher. So if you're not using a CRM though, you can't do it efficiently. So because he's in follow-up, see what you would have to do right now is you would call them, then you'd have to text them, then you'd have to send an email, right? But if it's all in one place, you could do all 3 of those things at the same time. I can send a bomb video, I can text message him, call him. Yeah?
Yeah, I click on call through Follow Boss, then no answer. I have a text message template already established. Click on send text, it sends right to them. And then I'll move on to the next one.
Later.
Yes, of course, yeah. If I still didn't hear anything, then I'll give them another call. It's usually like 4 touches per person, 4 to 5. I'll try to reach out, whether it's email, text, through phone calls. Yeah, so I'll definitely, and again, he brought it up earlier, definitely call the beneficiaries that are listed, because you may have a wrong number for the PR. And I've even come across sometimes where the actual beneficiary is handling the affairs of the estate, not the person who's listed as the PR. You get a hold of the beneficiary, they're like, yeah, I'm handling everything.
Yeah.
So I spoke to one recently that I closed over here in Hollywood, where the brother handled everything, even though the sister was named the PR.
There you go. Good question. So my professional experience is the following. You want to find out if there's any disagreement. If there's disagreement, personally, I'm out. Because it's a complication, it's going to take too long. It's me personally. I think the okay leads hide the fantastic ones. Most of you guys spend too much time on okay leads. If they're not an 8, 9, or a 10 for me, I'm not interested. Okay? So the first thing I would ask is like, well, I'm curious. I've only spoken to you. You seem to be kind of in the vein of selling. I see here there's other beneficiaries, your sister, Susie, your brother, John, which also, if I have that information, when I say your sister and your brother's name, what happens? What do you feel? Not only that, but like, you know them. How do you know them? Yeah? Yeah. So your sister, Susie, your brother, John, like, is there any disagreement with regards to selling, or is everybody on the same page? Yes? More often than not, they'll be on the same page. I say probably 50% of the time. If there's disagreement, there's fighting, like whatever, usually I'm not interested. But if they're like, yeah, we're all on the same page. Okay, great. And it looks like here, this was a homesteaded property for your family member, meaning it was their primary residence at the time of passing. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, so my professional experience is provided that 3 criteria are met. Number 1, it's homesteaded. Number 2, it's passing to linear heirs. Think linear like a line, right? That's a fancy word for direct descendants like siblings or children. And number 3, there's no fighting or disagreement. And that's what I'm hearing from you. So provided that that's what's true, the personal representative can authorize listing paperwork. They just sign as PR. They put their initials, PR, signature, personal representative of the Smith estate, whatever, right? I'm not an attorney. I'm just sharing with you in practice what we do. Now, when it comes time for closing, if it's a homesteaded property, what's really happening is you have multiple owners. Yeah? Each one of those people, let's say you and your 2 siblings, each sibling owns a portion of the property, like 33%. So at closing, they need to sign a deed, right? Transferring their ownership. So when it comes to closing, let the title make sure they get everybody's signatures. But listing paperwork, it's fine. Like, just have the personal representative and PR.
But at the same time, during your Zoom call and appointment with them, ensure you have everyone there, so you can answer all their questions. Recently, didn't you? Answer all their questions, and at the same time, because I've
what ended up happening?
Done it in the practice. Still haven't heard back from that lady. So you can make sure everyone's on the same page, because you don't want one relative saying, yes, we're all on the same page, everyone's going to sell. And then you're like, great, let's go. You get the house listed, it's under contract. Next thing you know, brother's like, I'm not selling. I don't want to sell the property. I don't know why she said I wanted to. Now you have a mess on your hands. So, ensure that they're either all on the appointment together, or I know that sometimes schedules are conflicting. Get on the phone with that other relative, or set a separate Zoom appointment with that other relative, just to cover everything and answer any questions that they may have. Because I'm aware that I know you're going to pass information on to your brother, and I'm confident that you're going to do a great job. However, I do prefer just to link up with them, whether it's Zoom or phone, just so I can ensure that all their questions are answered and we're all moving in the right direction.
And I could do a great job for you and your family. Does that make sense? So he learned this the hard way. He calls me and he's like, bro, what happened? I talked to them. They were like, yes, I'm going to list with you. I was talking to the PR. She said she's handling it. And, she said she was handling it. And I sent them list of paperwork and they ghosted me. Anybody had that happen besides me? And I started asking questions. I'm like, are there any other beneficiaries? He's like, oh yeah, brother, but she told me. I'm like, did you talk to him? Nope. I'm like, that's the problem. Yeah? Because when there's more than 2 people in a room, it's a crowd, yes? Everybody has their own opinions. So what I told him is what you're doing is you basically want to create an environment that dramatically increases the probability that you're going to get a contract signed. And if there's multiple decision makers, make sure they're involved. Either you get on the phone and talk to them. I've had where they have an agent that's helping them to find an agent down here. Anybody ever had that before? Yeah, guess what I do? What do you think I do? Based on what I just told you, what do you think I do? I get the agent on the phone. I want them present during the presentation, because who's actually the one that's going to guide that decision making?
That agent.
You're like, oh, but I talked to the owner and me and her were buddies. Like, she has a doggy and I have a doggy. Nope, you're not talking to the decision maker. So just corralling everybody in a room, presenting, and increasing the probability that they're going to get something signed.
We even, one of my other recent listings, they actually had a Zoom and they invited their probate attorney on the Zoom with me.
Love that.
Because they wanted him to be part of the interview process as well.
Dope. And then when you're professional and whatever, and the attorney's there, they're like,
he's like, yeah,
this is good.
And you're saying things that, you know, the probate attorney agrees with,
and you're demonstrating competency because you're
knowledge
process. Yeah. It's a homestead, like all that.
Right.
So it's different procedurally. So in order to transfer clear title, that's why you need to go through the probate process. So if it's not a homesteaded property, you need to get an order to list the real property and an order to sell it. You can do that, right? So that's the main difference. If it's a homesteaded property and it's passing to linear heirs, technically it passes outside of probate. That's my professional experience.
If it's not linear heirs.
Well, if it's not linear, what happens is it goes, if there are no linear heirs, so Grandpa Joe, Grandpa Joe didn't have any, or, children, then it goes up. Did he have any brothers or sisters? Yeah. So that's how it functions. Depending on the attorney, truthfully. So attorneys are like contractors. No disrespect for attorneys if you're watching. They usually throw a lot of stuff on the wall and see what shakes out, right? Most of them don't want to go to the courthouse because it takes some time and they have to charge people money for it. But what I found is if you pay them $500 to go, it could save like 3 months. So you work with an awesome attorney who's very quick and efficient. I did as well. With a really good attorney, and if it's homesteaded and there's no fighting or anything, it could take like 30 days. For other attorneys who just throw stuff on the wall, it might take 6 months.
Yeah. And then it extends, there's different circumstances. So if there is someone, like you said, contesting the estate or someone's contesting even the PR, which I've talked to people before, it can be definitely a drawn out process where you can just kind of follow up every once in a while, just see how that court process is going. But more so if it's a very simple administration, maybe a summary administration, it's going to go by pretty quick. And then these attorneys, they're pretty helpful when you're working for the client, working for the seller, and you try to reach out to either the paralegal or even just sending them an email back and forth. They're pretty compliant and helpful in sending some of the information that's needed.
This makes sense.
Letting you know a time frame also.
Yeah, and again, I would just make a decision and be cautious about chasing problems, meaning fighting or disagreement or litigation. They usually, or if they can't find one of the siblings, I've had that. You have to hire a personal investigator to track them down. You got to prove that you tried to find them, and then it has to go something called a partition, where they sell the property, put the funds in an account to try to find them. It's like a long, drawn-out thing.
I'm working with a client now that's doing a partition. Yeah. There's 3 family members that want to sell the property, beautiful home in West Boca. One doesn't. So they're in the process now of finding a partition. And again, I'm not constantly dumping a lot of effort and energy into this person, but I'm helping when I can. Here's a market update, here's a quick email, here I am when you're ready, hope all is going well. Here's an attorney referral, just to get them going the right direction.
Yeah, but it's not like you're hyper focused. Yeah, and I think in summary, guys, you really have to make a decision. This is cool because it's captivating your attention. It must be valuable. Is just so you guys know, your attention spans are 3 seconds on TikTok. Just So for something to captivate your attention for an extended period of time, it must be valuable. In summary, this is a fantastic lead source. Okay. The last time we had transaction volume drop from 7 million, this drastic of a drop, we were at 6 to 7 million. This year, we're on track for 3.8. The last time we had that amount of drop in transactions, how long do you think it took to get back up to the high? A decade. Yeah. It's the energy in the room. Here we are hoping and wishing and praying. Oh, I really hope the new administration. Oh, I really hope interest rates. Oh, I'm praying to the real estate gods. It took 10 years to get back to the previous volume. There's always deals to be done in the marketplace. You're only one relationship away from finding them. Our intention today was to be that relationship for you guys. So how many people can say emphatically that you can walk out of here with something tangible you can make money with? Yes or yes? I pick them up. So some of the questions you ask when you pick them up is, how was your day? What'd you guys eat? It's normal, right? What'd you guys do for dinner? He's like, oh, we went out for dinner. I'm like, well, where'd you guys go? He's like, they took us to Hooters. This comes out of my son's mouth. I never grew up with faith, but he's seen my kind of walk and he's seen changes in me. So what he says in me is it was really weird.